Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Youth Ministry 65 with TK. I am here. I am joined by my sister. She is a chair lady, and I am so looking forward to this. I just call her the chair lady. She is so awesome, so beautiful, and she raises great information in regards to youth ministry. And we just wanted to jump on really quickly, just to have a chat and chew, if you will. I'm not chewing anything, but it is kind of like my lunch break here at work. She's not chewing anything either. So we're just going to call it the chat right now. And we want to talk to some youth ministry leaders. If we have youth ministry leaders out there, please let us know where you are, where you're coming from. We want to make sure that you are in this conversation with us. We are so excited about what's happening right now. And I'm so happy to have this conversation. We are going to be asking the question, what more can we do? As youth leaders, what more can we do to raise the conversation of youth ministry, not just inside of the pandemic, but even after the pandemic, as we are segueing and as we are shifting back inside of the schools, as most of the churches are starting to come back open. What is it that we can do as youth ministry leaders to make a difference? So we are talking right now to youth ministry leader, and I am going to ask the chair lady to please introduce herself. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from, and give us your passion point for youth ministry leadership.
Oh, awesome. So, as you already know, she calls me cheerleader, but I am youth pastor Shanel Vrontrez. Drake.
Yes.
I am currently the youth pastor at Greater Mount Sinai, co-youth pastor at Greater Mount Sinai Church of God in Christ. I co-youth pastor with Elder Vincent Mack. And I am also the district, I guess I am still a chairlady, district chairlady / president for the Brotherly Love District here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so for Wisconsin Northwest. I'm doing all of that and still doing all the other stuff I do. I lead my personal business. Um, just same old stuff I've always been doing. And my
Right.
passion, my leadership passion. When you ask me that question, I go, God, what if I could narrow it down? What would it be? And really, it's all about empowerment, and it's about education, empowering and educating other youth leaders to be able to do what God has called them to do. Um, there was a season where I was all about the youth and really just trying to groom our youth, right? But as I've matured and I've gotten older and I'm starting to feel myself kind of get out of the way, I really want to empower other youth leaders to be the best leaders that they could possibly be.
Absolutely. And so, with what you just said about empowering youth leaders to be all that they can be in this time and after, what are some best practices or some strategies, if you will, that you can actually help as you are talking or ministering to youth leaders and those that are young people that you see aspiring towards youth ministry leadership?
First of all, I would say stay relevant and stay educated. And I say that together because in order to be relevant, you have to educate yourself. Educate yourself on what's going on around you. You have to understand what's going on in the current world. A lot of times in the church, we like to box ourselves into what's happening inside the church or inside our denomination. And we're not really willing to step outside of the parameters of the four walls of the church. But in order for you to remain relevant, you have to be able to know what's going on beyond the walls of the church. What are the
Absolutely.
social justice issues that are affecting your young people? What's in the music? What is it that they like? What is it that they want to do? And then you have to go get the training that you need so that you can implement those different tools
Yes.
that's necessary to be utilized to help grow and build your particular house.
Absolutely. And I think that is just so amazing when you say to educate yourself and remain relevant. And there are ways that we can remain relevant. And sometimes those ways of being relevant means that we have to go outside of the boxes that we know, meaning that we may have to tap into other resources outside of our own denomination, if you will, to see what's happening on the outside of that. So youth leaders not only being educated in what's going on around them, actually in the world itself, because I believe that that is a huge a point that we definitely need to make. We do need to understand what's happening in the political scene. We do need to understand what's happening in the church scene. We need to understand what's happening with the economy and the stock market and in investments and things of that nature. But it's also important to look inside of other youth ministries to gather or garner information that is going to pull in support and to undergird what we may not have implemented in our own youth ministries. And so for the youth leader that feels like they've done everything that they can do, and I know you've probably had that feeling,
Absolutely.
you've expressed it very, vividly, that you've had a feeling at some point very transparently that you've done all you can do as a youth leader, or so you think. You've done everything that you can do as a youth leader, yet and still it seems as though either the young people are not getting it, or they get it and they leave, or the youth ministry leaders are blocked or confined. What do you say as a seasoned, and yes, I'm saying season, not as an old, but as a season. We've been at this. I mean, I've been in youth ministry leadership for well over 20 years and have worked in several different capacities of youth ministry leadership. So as a seasoned youth leader, please give us some information or encouragement as to how you can help that one youth leader who feels like, hey, I've tried to be relevant. I've read the books. I've looked at the instructional manual. I have talked to other youth leaders. I think I've done everything that I can do. What is it that I can do? What else is it that I can do?
I mean, I think for me, and let's just deal with being transparent. So I made the post today. I made a post today because I've reached a point where I was actually totally heartbroken
Yes.
over a few of my young people. And it wasn't because that they necessarily chose to either go to a different ministry or anything like that. But for me, I felt insignificant as a leader. I felt like what I had questioned my ability to reach them
Wow.
where they were at.
Wow.
And so in that moment, I began to question my value as a leader. And I had to step
Wow.
back and say, wait a minute. Now, I know that I did A, B, C, and D, and I started literally going down the checklist to make sure that I checked all of my, boxes off of youth ministry. But then I stepped
Right.
back and I said, but God, yet there's something missing. And sometimes you have to realize as leaders, it's not necessarily that you're missing something or that you haven't done something. Sometimes everything is not for everybody, and some things is seasonal. And so
Absolutely.
you may be the one to actually plant the seed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the one to water the seed or
Yes.
nurture that seed to a place where you can see the actual growth. And as a youth leader, first of all, you have to be okay with saying, okay, I planted the seed. Now, God,
Yes.
if you're shifting them on to be watered elsewhere, okay. And then you have to be okay with that. The other piece of that, though, is being okay with doing self checks, reevaluate where you are, reevaluate maybe what you could have done differently or what you could be doing differently.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times we use a lot of excuses. Well, my leader wouldn't let me do this, or I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. But what could you do? How creative could you have been in maybe doing something different? I was talking to my co earlier today, and after I got off the phone with him, I thought about the things we did during the pandemic. While we could not be in the physical church, the fact that we actually made the extra initiative to step out and physically pick up the telephone and call or FaceTime. Now, most of all of our kids Yes, it was a lot of extra work, but were you willing to go the extra mile to do something different? So we have to be able to evaluate ourselves. And then after we evaluate ourselves, just be at peace with whatever it is.
Absolutely. You have to make the effort. And there are some youth leaders that I see actually chimed in. And I know it's an odd time during the day. Yes, it is. It's an odd time during the day to go live. But I felt that it was pertinent to do so because there are so many youth leaders that reach out to me that I know reach out to youth pastor here with us today. And the burden of youth ministry leadership, or so we feel, the burden of youth ministry leadership can be to the point to where you feel like there is nothing more that I can do. I have no strength. I have no support. And so this is just that push of encouragement to let you know that there is relevance to you. There is value. You have value, but you must make the initiative. You have to take the initiative to connect. When was the last time? I just want to ask this question out here to youth leaders. When was the last time that you reached out before being reached out to? When was the last time that you reached out to a youth or a young person in your ministry before they reached out to you? What are some things that you are doing that can keep you connected, that can keep you relevant? There is a lot of excuse that we use to drive what we can't do as leaders in this time frame. And we say, well, we can't meet at a physical building. I can't pass out bags. I can't. But what is it that you can do? There's a lot you can do. But youth pastor, it does. You have to agree with me on this. I'm telling you, you don't have to agree with me on this. You have to agree with me that we as youth leaders, we as youth ministry connectors, youth ministry strategists, those of us who people reach out to say, hey, I want help. We have to be willing to make the effort. I cannot tell you how many conversations I have with youth ministry leaders that are saying, hey, what is it that I can do right now in this time frame to continue to connect to my young people? We cannot make excuses. We have to make the effort. And I really love what you said, Shanel, that we have to understand that we have relevance and that the passion has to be greater than the position.
That right there. And when I think about it,
Yes.
Takitha, you were talking about you've been in ministry for 20 years. I just celebrated 30 years in youth
Wow.
ministry.
Wow.
And every time I think about it, it's never been about the title. It's been
Yes.
about my purpose and my passion.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't just resonate in the church for me. I can't get away from it. I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. Before I was an educator, I was a probation and parole officer for juveniles.
Wow.
Everything I've done has been centered around the core of youth. And so when I realized that is actually my passion, whether I had a title or not, it never hindered me from doing what I've been called to do. And so my purpose is so much bigger than the position. So if my
Yes.
pastor came to me tomorrow, and I would be okay with it, if he came to me tomorrow and said, hey, youth pastor Shanel, I'm demoting you, or I no longer want you to work in that position. Okay, good. Thank you. I'll probably say thank you. However, but at the
Now
same
she's not saying,
time,
okay, good, great, and I'm out of here. No, she's not saying that. She's saying
no.
I will be okay with that because either way, I'm not gonna finish your conversation, girl. Go ahead.
But you're
You done
right,
made me
because
excited.
regardless, it's not going to stop me from doing what I do. I will continue
Exactly.
to mentor. I will continue to shepherd, if that's what you want to call it. I will continue to pour into. I will continue to give time for. It's not going to change my purpose.
Absolutely. And that's why I say to every youth leader out there, every youth ministry leader, whether you are a department head, whether you are a coordinator, whether you are a person who is just a part of the team, because listen, the person who's working as the team player is no less than the leader. I need you to really get that. A lot of youth leaders are not the president, or they're not the department head, or they're not the youth pastor, but they're making impact and they're making imprint. And I need you to be clear when I say to you that your passion is no less defined whether you were considered the president, the department head, or just the coordinator or the team player. It takes all of us. But I have to be very clear that the passion of youth ministry has to be greater than the positioning of a youth titled individual. You have to be so propelled by your passion when you're working in youth ministry, because as it was just stated, whether you have the position or the title or not, if it's in your heart,
Gonna do it.
it's going to manifest. You can't help it. You can't help yourself. You cannot help how you treat young people. You can't help where your heart goes when it includes youth ministry. It's going to be so important to understand that in this time and in this season, it cannot be about the position, because guess what? The position at this point does not really matter. We're all in the same position. We're all at home. We're all at
Right.
home. We're all virtual. We're all remote. And for those of us who are acclimating back to the churches, they're not still full as they used to be. So, what is the qualifier? Is it the position or is it the passion? And your passion has to be so much greater than the position. So I can encourage young people and youth leaders right here in this moment and tell you that what you hashtagged earlier is that youth leaders matter. Yeah, we have a whole lot of movements out there, but there is one movement that we definitely need to bring to the forefront, and that is the movement of youth ministry leadership. And we have to let you know that you may not get an immediate thanks. Youth ministry leadership is unlike any other department, any other auxiliary, any other band in the church, because it happens 365 days a year. Hence, Youth Ministry 365. You can visit that page, Youth Ministry 365 Academy. You can go and like that page right now, Youth Ministry 365 Academy, because that is what youth ministry is. It's consistent. It's all year round. And you're always going to have a youth to minister to. So as we wind down here, I want you to really pour your heart into how you stated, like you said, you made a post earlier, which led us to this particular live conversation. And you talk about youth ministry leadership being a thankless role. I don't want people to take that out of context, but I do want you to provide the context for you as a youth leader who is vested in youth ministry leadership. Please open that that conversation about youth ministry not being the ministry where you're getting the pat on the back or the thank you or the high level recognition at all times, and how we deal with that.
It is needed, is necessary, and without it, it would be a problem. And what I mean by that is this: is that um, garbage people who pick up the garbage every day is needed. It's a nasty job. It's a dirty job. And most of the times they come home smelly. Um, they come home just full of dirt and grime. You very seldom see a garbage person outside just fly in a three-piece suit, with the
Right.
tie on, or in some red bottoms and, doing what they
Absolutely.
do. No, you usually see them looking rough, raggedy, and crazy.
Yes.
Why? Because it's a dirty job, but it's a job that's needed. Without a garbage person, you would have piles up a mess, which would cause more and more and more mess to occur. And it will be so bad that you would end up with rodents, you would end up with bugs, and it would just become a problem.
Right.
So I equate that to the role of youth leadership. It's not a glamorous role. It's quite dirty. And what I mean by that is people don't understand youth leaders are a lot of times the one that's on the front line. We'll get calls before the pastors will. They'll call us to show up at 2 o'clock in the morning when Jim Bob just got arrested and they need you to get down to the jailhouse. And we get up and put on our sweats and our t-shirt and we go down to the jail. And a lot of times we take our money because we don't get it from the church, and we get Jim Bob out of jail and we never get it back. But that's the stuff you don't see, but it's necessary.
Necessary.
It's
Wow.
necessary. And so a lot of times what we do as youth leaders, because of our passion, people don't see. You see those that sitting in the pulpit with the title, but a lot of times they're sitting there, but you don't see what they do in the midnight hour. They don't see how we lay on our faces for our young people. They're not having the hard conversation. Listen, let me share this with you. And I'm going to just be 100 right now. And I want the world to hear me and hear what I say. In our church, there are issues that we refuse to have conversations about, right? We
Right.
talk about sexuality. Right now it's a whole big liberation movement going on in the churches, and nobody wants to talk about this, especially in the Pentecostal churches. However, youth leaders, we're the ones that get faced with those conversations
Right.
because you
Right.
got Johnny, Jim, Sheila, and Sean all don't know who they are in their sexuality, and they're all messing with each other. And the mamas don't go to the pastors because they don't want to deal with that. So they come to us, and now we got to figure out how to counsel according to what we know and what the doctrine says, and yet be able to minister to them to a way where we don't push them.
Effectively.
Right.
Right.
Well, we're
Right.
not
Right.
pushing them away, but we're pulling them in. And so it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of prayer. And so I would say to you, if you are a youth leader, understand who you are. Understand that you've been called to this thing. And I remember growing up, and I remember them telling us, God won't put more on you than you can bear. And truthfully, in the 30 years that I've been in ministry, as much as there's been things that have hurt me, that has affected me, that has hit the heart of me, I've been able to handle it because
Wow.
God has not allowed me to carry anything that I could not bear. And the other piece of that is he told me to lay aside every weight that so
Absolutely.
easily beset me. So if it becomes weighty, I turn it over and let him handle it and let him guide and let him give me what I need to be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
That is so good. And I am so happy about this. And of course, we're going to be talking to more youth leaders. We talk to them one on one all of the time, but these are necessary conversations. And you said it well, that youth ministry is not a glamorous job. People look at it and then they feel like, oh, let me be the youth leader. It's not a job of glamour. It is a job that requires you to roll up your sleeves and get in there with young people and get in there with youth leaders. It is a job that requires you to become the trainer as well as the worker. You're the leader, but you're also the follower. You are the person who's leading sometimes out front, but most of the time, you're leading from behind. And sometimes we see leadership of youth leaders even from the middle, and that is, we will unpack that at another time. But you're not just the leader out front. Your name is just not the one that's there in lights, because that's not what youth ministry is about. Youth ministry is about being authentic in the call to youth. And it's also it is more truthfully about your why. What called you to why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you in youth ministry? What is the qualifier? And this is what we want to make sure that we understand. So youth leaders, I want to encourage you. This is February the 18th, okay? We are only in the second month of the first quarter of 2021. You have 10 months to turn it around. You have 10 months to make an impact. You have 10 months to build relationship. I really want to say that before we get off of here. You have to build relationship. We have been in youth ministry leadership under leaders who have taught us that if you do not build relationship, you cannot correct without relationship. You can't reach out without relationship. You cannot require participation and you have not built relationship. If you do not have relationship, rebellion is inevitable when you now try to put young people into alignment or to correct them. So we want to shed light on what youth leadership is all about, what youth ministry is. And we want to encourage you to let you know that it's positive, it's possible. We are lights for these young people. We are bringing the light of Jesus Christ to our youth and young adults. And we, yes, Linnell Perry says we have to be sensitive to the move of God in this time. So let's be impactful. Let's do exactly what youth pastor said. She stated very clearly, know your value. Understand what you bring to youth ministry leadership. Be authentic in your call. If you know you cannot do it, guess what? Young people know you can't do it.
That's right.
You can't fake it. You can, but they know that you are. You cannot be fake with young people. You have to be real and you have to be your authentic self. And one last thing I want to encourage, I'm going to let you have last words on this. One last thing I would like to encourage. I want you to connect with other youth leaders. There are a lot of amazing youth leaders that are out here. And we say in these streets, you know, we can't keep up with the vernacular these days, but I'm going to tell you, we out here in these virtual streets. And there's a lot that's going on right now. There are a lot of young people doing a lot of amazing things. Make them the ambassadors for change. Allow them to be unique in this virtual space. This is their space. Allow them to create. Allow them to be. You don't have to do everything. And see, now I'm getting ready to just really go there. You don't have to be all things to all people. You have to know how to incorporate, bring these young people in, make them excited about what's going on in youth ministry. And guess what? You said it best. One plants, another waters. I'm going to add this. Another is going to cultivate. Another is going to polish. But it's going to be God that gives the increase. But guess what? Those young people, they'll never forget the seed.
Absolutely.
They'll never forget the seed.
Absolutely.
I want you to say something.
Listen, you said it. I'm hanging on to your words. But true. I piggyback off of you. If you can't do anything else in this season, to the youth leaders, I would say please make sure that you have a collaborative force, a group of people that you can collaborate with, that you can talk to, and don't be afraid to cross denominational lines. What I'm saying about that is this: you may have a friend in the Lutheran church that's making an impact. Figure out what they're doing. You may have a friend in the Baptist church making an impact. Figure out what they're doing. Look at the outside organizations that's not in the church world, but they're in your community. And if they're making an impact, see what you can do. See what they're doing. See how you can collaborate with them and bring what you need to the table. Um, I'm learning more and more to build relationship with my own peers. My own peers meaning other youth leaders across the globe, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you develop. And when you get weak, that's where you draw your strength from. And so sometimes we have weak moments. Today for me, I'm going to tell you, when I get to the point that I'm in tears, TK, and I was in tears, my little feelings was hurt. And it wasn't because anybody had done anything to me, but it was because of a choice that a couple of my young people had made. And it just broke my heart because, and I said it in my post, they didn't die. They just made a choice. But I know that that choice could lead them to death, spiritually and emotionally. And so sometimes because you become a parent figure to some, you become the big sister to others or big brother because of that. You know, you just, your heart sometimes But
Yes.
because of people like yourself, TK, and my co-youth pastor, Pastor Vincent Mack, and others, people came running. Leaders came running.
Yes, we came running. We did. And but you
Came
know
running.
what? That's why you need the collaborative force. And you cannot be afraid in youth ministry leadership. You cannot be afraid to connect and collaborate simply because this is, yes, she's sporting that pray it forward. But because collaboration is key. Collaboration is the truth. It is key to our success in ministry in any role that we're in. But yes, this is where the strength comes from. I'm letting you know right now, youth pastor, I am supporting you. I am undergirding you. I am out here with any youth leader who is certainly making an impact and making strides. It's not easy. It's not easy. We're not going to make it seem like it's easy. But I will tell you very transparently that even though it's not easy, it still can be done. You can make an effort and you can do what needs to be done with what you have. So understand the support system you have. Reach out before you crumble all the way down. Just reach out and say, hey, I need the strength of a youth leader right now, because this is the time that we need to pull on one another. So I'm happy that you were able to join me today. We just wanted to stop by. Like I said, this is a president and a chair lady. So, we have to, we can't chat and chew because we don't have nothing to chew on. I don't have anything to chew on. We were chatting. We wasn't chewing on nothing though. But anyway, this was an impromptu conversation. We did not plan this, but I do want to, before we leave, I just want to say this, that this is an alliance that we have to build. And I wanted to kind of read something here, that youth leadership is the practice of exercising, helping young people to exercise authority over themselves while yielding themselves to God. We are responsible as youth leaders to impact, imprint, impart, and do all of the things that empower them. So yes, I see somebody that's saluting their youth pastor right now. And I want to encourage all of you young people out there, send a shout out to your youth ministry. I'm telling you right now, pastors, understand this. I say this to a lot of pastors that come to me in regards to youth ministry leadership. I say this, that your church, the way you measure the lifespan of your church is by the youngest person that is there. And if the youngest person that is there is not as young as they need to carry on the church, if you understand what I'm saying, then you need to figure out how to cultivate your youth ministry. Because youth ministry, as it has been stated here, I saw it somewhere in the comments, it is the lifeline. It is the life-giving blood of the church. So let's have successful youth ministries. I am expecting from this chat that we will see people saying, I've been inspired, I've been encouraged, I've been motivated, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to do something more with what I have. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you. And I really, really thank you. So everyone out there, let's go down from here, understanding the power that we have to impact and empower young people. Thank you for joining TK and Youth Pastor Shanel on Youth Ministry 365. We will see you at another time. Be blessed.